In the hushed stillness of dusk, when the wind carries whispers that do not belong to this time, and the shadows stretch a little longer than they should, there is a doorway that opens, a doorway not made of stone or wood, but of story, softened by age, shaped by memory, and glowing faintly at the edges with the silver light of dreams. Tonight, you are invited to step gently across that threshold. Leave behind the noise of waking hours, the press of duty, the sharpness of things unfinished. They will not follow you here. Here, we walk slowly, with breath like mist and hearts like ancient drums, toward the soft-lit borderlands of legend. And it is in this place, somewhere between memory and mist, that her presence waits. They call her many things: the Phantom Queen, the Raven of War, the Goddess of Sovereignty, the Whisperer at the edge of fate. But names, like stories, are only shadows of what is true. You may have heard of her as Morrigan, the Irish goddess said to stride across bloodied battlefields, crying out omens and singing warriors into madness. A being feared, misunderstood, sometimes despised. Yet even the oldest stories forget that darkness is not always evil, and endings are not always to be mourned. Tonight's journey is not one of chaos, but of clarity, not of destruction, but of deep becoming. Together, we will walk beside her, not as soldiers or heroes, but as sleepers listening to the old winds. We will slip behind the veil of time to where her legend was born. We will witness her rise, not from fire, but from fog, not with violence, but with vision. And as the world forms itself around her presence, piece by piece, we will come to see that the Morrigan was never only what the victors wrote her to be. So breathe in slowly now. Let the chill of night settle like velvet upon your skin. There is nothing to fear here, only stories, softened by time, waiting to be remembered in the quiet. And as you listen, feel the world fading, step by step, as the doorway behind you closes, and the mists ahead part just enough to let you through. We begin where all true stories begin. In the quiet before the world. Long before the land had a name, before the rivers carved their laughter into stone, before the sky even remembered how to weep, there was only the endless stillness, a breath not yet taken, a whisper that had not yet stirred. This was the first. Silence, vast, not empty, but full in a way that defied shape or sound. It was not the silence of absence, but of pure, waiting potential, like a raven's eye fixed on the horizon before flight. It stretched across eternity, neither dark nor light, for these were words that had not yet been spoken. It simply was, and from within that stillness a vibration began, soft at first, as though the air had learned to hum, a low, weaving from, not music, not thunder, but something older. It did not emerge from any place, for there were no places yet. It emerged like breath from silence, warm and slow and full of becoming, and as that thrum deepened, it gave birth to a rhythm. The rhythm grew roots, and those roots became stories. It is said in the oldest whisperings that this first rhythm was not a creator, but a remembering, as though the world did not begin but awoke, slowly, from some dreaming sleep, as though it had always been here, waiting to be noticed. From that ancient pulse, the mists rose, not mists of weather, but of essence, thick and heavy with dreaming. They coiled and curled like spirit beings, drifting through the void, weaving in and out of one another. Some were soft and golden, full of gentle life, others darker, stranger, holding seeds of sorrow, endings, and truths too deep for form. From one such swirl, she began, not as a woman, nor goddess, nor beast, but as a knowing, as the awareness of endings and beginnings braided together. A feeling at the edge of things, the pause before a choice, the silence before the first word. She was not yet Morrigan, She had no shape, only direction drawn to thresholds where breath catches and fate listens, and so she drifted through the silver hum of the first silence, among shadows not yet named. Her presence was a hush in the cosmic breath, a chill beneath the warmth, not a threat, but a reminder she did not wish to create. She came to witness, to watch as the balance formed, light and dark, life and rot, rise and fall. She was the edge that would ensure nothing grew too far without remembering its root. And so, in the earliest dream of the cosmos, the Morrigan began, not as war, but as balance, as the quiet hand that steadies both the rising sun and the falling blade. Her spirit hovered like mist across the deep, unseen but deeply known. In time, the stillness began to move more quickly, not with haste, but with intention. New vibrations emerged, sharper, brighter, and the mists began to take shapes. Sounds rose from the breath, the laughter of rivers unborn, the wail of winds to come, the fierce whisper of flame as it imagined itself. But she remained still, not frozen, but constant. The watcher, the witness, the weaver who did not weave. And in her stillness, the world would find its first mirror, not the kind of mirror that flatters, the kind that reflects the truth, even when it is dark, even when it is beautiful. And so, in the deep silence before the world took form, she waited and watched. And remembered. As the breath of the first silence deepened, the rhythm within it grew more layered, more curious, and more daring. The mist began to shimmer, as though touched by thought, and from this sacred shimmering, forms began to rise, not fully shaped, not yet flesh, but glowing with presence. The Tuatha De Danann were among the first to emerge, not born as mortals are, but called forth like melodies from an instrument not yet carved. They were luminous in ways the later world would forget, their forms woven of light and thought, blood and sky, silver and starlight. They shimmered with purpose, but not all of them understood it. These were the gods before gods, not worshipped, but witnessed. Powers that walked the land like poems in motion. Bridget, with her fire that healed and inspired. La, bright with skill and strategy. Danu, mother of flowing waters and silent truths, and among them she hovered, still quiet, still shadow-bound. But now, watching more closely, she did not descend with trumpet or flash. She was not named with reverence or song. The others felt her only in their marrow, a chill when the veil between thoughts thinned, a flicker at the edge of vision when fate stood near. And in that strange blossoming world, the Morrigan began to take shape, not from clay, but from contrast, from the spaces between other beings. Where Bridget burned, she cooled. Where La crafted, she unraveled. Where Danu gave birth, she stood beside the ending breath. It was not that she refused to join them. It was that her role could never be the same. While they seeded, she shadowed. While they danced, she waited. For the Morrigan did not exist to build, she existed to balance, to guard the threads of time from tangling beyond repair. Still, she was not alone. From the echoes of her own breath, three aspects stepped forth, not sisters, not fragments, but reflections. Bad, the crow, shrieking prophecy on the winds of war. Eyes always turned toward futures not yet lived. Matcha, swift and bright, tied to the land, to sovereignty, to the very heartbeat of Ireland's green skin. And Nemain, whose whispers brought confusion, whose song could scatter armies like leaves in a sudden wind. Together, they formed her, or perhaps she was always them, a triple presence, not divided, but mirrored, like the moon waxing, full, and waning, each face with its own music, its own shadow, yet one rhythm beneath. They walked beside the Tuatha, not as rulers nor rivals, but as reminders that every fire casts a shadow, that every creation carries its unraveling within, and that every victory is stitched with loss. It was the Morrigan who first saw the shape of time, not just as a line, but as a cycle. She traced it in the wind, she whispered it to the crows, she sang it in dreams few dared remember. When the others danced or feasted, she lingered by the riverbanks, where the world was quiet enough to listen. When a warrior forged a blade, she traced its edge with her breath and marked the name of the one who would fall upon it. Not cruelly, not with delight, but with certainty, with stillness. That was her gift and her burden, to know the threads of fate not as prophecy, but as presence, to see what must be seen and hold it in silence. In time, mortals would come, the gods would teach, guide, rule. They would take levers, inspire poets, make war. But she would watch. She would wait. She would wander across their battles, not as death, but as transition. She did not cause the war. She simply arrived with it, to speak its name. Some would hate her. Others would fear her. Few would understand her. And yet all would feel her at the end of things, or just before. The Morrigan became not only a goddess, but a question, lingering on the lips of kings, resting in the silence between heartbeats, hovering like raven wings over the cliffs of the unknown. And even among gods, she stood apart, not higher, not lower, just elsewhere, and always watching. As the gods found their place within the mists and melodies of the forming world, the land itself began to breathe, not merely as dirt or stone, but as memory, waking. Ireland, though not yet called so, stirred first as a dream within Danu, mother of rivers. Her waters whispered through unseen hollows, carving pathways for forests yet to rise. And in this dreaming, the land began to shape itself. Hills folded like sleeping creatures, valleys swelled with deep, green silence, and the sky draped itself in veils of shifting silver. The Tuatha De Danann moved across this forming world, like artists across a blank tapestry, leaving imprints not of conquest, but of rhythm. Where they touched, springs flowed. Where they sang, stones bloomed into circles. And from their presence, seasons were born, not as measurements, but as moods. The warm laughter of Beltane, the cooling breath of Samhain, the dark hush of winter, the flowering ache of spring. Time was not yet counted. It was felt. In pulses, like the heartbeat of the land beneath bare feet. And among this tender blooming, the Morrigan took her place, not above, not below, but beneath the surface of things, beneath every cycle and turning. She traced her fingers along the edges of birth and bloom, marking their eventual return to soil. Where others saw newness, she saw pattern. Where others built with light, she stitched with shadow. Yet she was never cruel. She did not spoil the fruit or blight the wheat. She simply reminded, quietly, unfalteringly, that all things must return. And in this, her magic blossomed. It was not fire, nor lightning, nor blinding charm. It was presence. Stillness. Knowing. To walk with the Morrigan was to see the arc of things, not in dread, but in reverence. To feel the beauty of a flower's full bloom, not because it lasted forever, but because it did not. To feel the weight of a warrior's blade, not in glory, but in grief. She taught not through words, but through silence. Her omens were not curses, but mirrors, showing what already stirred beneath the skin of time. And as the land formed rivers and peaks, as magic seeped through stones and roots, the Morrigan found her temples not in gold halls or carved altars, but in the quiet places. In the curve of a crow's wing over still water. In the hush before battle, in the dreams of those who stood at a threshold, between fear and bravery, between life and whatever lay beyond. Mortals began to rise, slowly, humbly, shaped from earth and breath, fragile and fierce. They built with hands still learning, worshipped what they could not see, feared what they could not name. To them, she appeared in glimpses, a woman cloaked in mist beside a stream, a raven circling high over misted fields, a voice within dreams. That was not voice, but knowing. They feared her, at first, called her Dark One, Bad Omen, Bringer of Blood. But even then, they knew somewhere deep that she was not death. She was the one who saw it coming, long before the sword was drawn. She was not the scream, she was the silence just before it. Her power lived in the liminal, in doorways, twilight, crossroads, thresholds. She walked where the veil thinned, where the world wore its mystery close to the skin. And in these places, she was strongest, not because she controlled them, but because she belonged to them. As forests grew and fell, as stones were raised in circles and marked with symbols lost to time, as the mists retreated just enough to let seasons pass through, the Morrigan remained. She did not age, she did not seek, she simply stayed, like memory. Like truth. And as time began to gather meaning, as humans learned to count moons and carve calendars, she watched it all. Not with longing, not with sorrow, only with patience and reverence. She was not the goddess of war. She was the witness of all that came before and after it. The land took its shape. The stories began to root. And in the deep folds of time, her name began to echo, softly at first, like wings over stone, then louder still, until legend clothed her in symbols she had never claimed, and shadowed the grace that was always hers. But even then she waited, for those who would come, for those who would listen again. And remember. In the world that had grown soft with green and heavy with memory, her presence became more than a shadow. The Morrigan, no longer formless mist or drifting breath, had taken on the shape of a woman, not young nor old, but timeless in the way rivers seem to hold every age at once. She was tall, cloaked in deep, layered fabrics of storm gray and shadow black, with hair like raven silk and eyes the color of distant thunder. Her voice, when she spoke, carried the softness of wind across heather, not loud, never raised, but it moved through the bones of those who heard it like a forgotten truth, suddenly remembered. But most often, she did not speak, she watched, for watching was where her power lived, in seeing what others turned from, in knowing the weight of choices before they were made, in bearing witness not as judge, but as keeper of balance. She was not born as mortals are, from womb or blood. She was a rising, a presence shaped from the land's need to understand its own rhythms. She came to be an answer to silence, in answer to the question that all living things ask, quietly, when no one else is listening. What happens next? And in that unspoken space, she stood. The Morrigan did not live in palaces or temples. Her dwellings were places that lingered between caves with no clear end, shores where tide met stone, groves so quiet that birds paused their song. It was said that she could appear at will, and just as easily vanish. One moment a woman by the river, pale feet touching the misted bank, the next, a raven circling far overhead, silent and watching. But she was not alone in her shape. She was three, and also one, Morrigan, and Bab, and Matcha, sometimes Nemain, two, whose breath stirred confusion into the hearts of those too proud to heed the signs. This triple essence was not division, but complexity. She was layered, like dusk, not simply the end of day, but the presence of shadow and light, interwoven. Mortals came to know her name, though most spoke it in whispers. Some feared her as death's herald, the one who washed the bloodied clothes of warriors the night before battle. Others honored her as the spirit of the land itself, the chooser of kings, the voice of the fields and hills when they accepted or rejected those who claimed to rule them. She was not interested in thrones, but she cared deeply for balance, and that made her powerful. To know what was coming was a kind of magic that few could bear. She carried that weight with grace, not to change what would be, but to help others meet it with eyes open. There are tales, old ones, half forgotten, of how she first showed herself to kings, not with demands, not with flattery, but with questions. She would appear beside a river, or in a dream, asking softly, "Will you rule for yourself? Or for the land? Will you take the crown? Or will you become it?" Most did not understand. Some tried to capture her. Some tried to kiss her. Some tried to flee. But those who answered well, with humility, with clarity, with reverence for the mystery, were touched by her favor, not with riches, but with rightness. Their rule flowed in harmony with the land. The crops listened. The rivers did not rise in anger. The wind moved softly through their halls. But those who ignored her, they fell. Always. For the Morrigan was not one to punish. She was simply one who reflected. What you brought to her, she returned. In this way, she was neither cruel nor kind. She was inevitable. And yet beneath all the omens and symbols, beneath the cloaks and crows, there was something softer in her, something older than war and wiser than prophecy, a grief, a knowing. She did not glory in death, as many believed. She felt each one. She carried them with her, tucked into the folds of her robes like stones from distant rivers. Each name, each breath, each warrior's final thought. She remembered them all. And in this, she bore not power, but sorrow. And perhaps that is where her greatest strength lived, not in battle, but in bearing what others refused to hold. So when you hear her name whispered through the rustling of trees, or see a raven staring too long from a crooked branch, do not turn away in fear. Pause. Listen. You may be standing at a threshold, and she may already be there. Waiting to see if you will notice the path beneath your feet. There is a tale, deep within the marrow of Irish legend, of a warrior named Cú Chulainn, whose name stirred both admiration and dread, a hero of strength unmatched, whose blade danced faster than thought, and whose rage, when summoned, turned him into something barely human. Yet even he could not outrun the Morrigan. Their paths crossed not by accident, but by design, not hers, perhaps, but the deeper rhythm of fate she always followed. It was said that as Cú Chulainn prepared for battle, fierce and proud, he rode alone through the still, dewy morning. The mists were heavy across the fields, curling low against the earth like the last breath of a sleeping god. And there, beside a river, as always, she appeared, not as a raven, not as a wailing ghost, but as a woman, beautiful, calm, and cloaked in night. She stood on the bank, hands clasped in front of her, not moving, not speaking, just watching. Her eyes held the deep stillness of water that has known every storm and every drought. She was neither seductive nor severe, only present, fully, silently present. When Cú Chulainn saw her, he slowed. Something in him stilled, yet pride was thick in his chest, and the air was heavy with the scent of coming blood. She spoke softly. "Do you know what you ride toward?" He answered as warriors often do, with confidence, with bold words and the weight of certainty. He said he feared no one, that no woman could turn him from his path, that death, should it come, would come at his back, not from within. And so she offered him one chance. "Turn aside," she whispered. "Delay by one day. Listen to the land, the birds, the water, all are speaking. But pride is louder than whispers." He refused, and so she vanished, but not completely, for what followed was not a curse, but a lesson, a revealing. As Cú Chulainn fought in battle, strong and brutal, the Morrigan came again, not as herself, but in other forms. First, as a great eel, twisting in the river beside him, attempting to trip his horse, then as a wolf, leaping from the shadowed trees to unseat him. and then as a cow, charging across the field, eyes wild, full of earth's fury. Each time, he struck the creature down, not knowing, or not admitting, that it was she, and each time, she absorbed the wound, saying nothing. Not in revenge, not in anger, but in fulfillment. When next she appeared, it was again by a stream, her body bruised, limping, pale, a quiet ache pressed into her limbs. She leaned on a staff, her eyes downcast, her voice small. "Would you not bless the one who helped you now, hero?" He looked at her, not seeing, not recognizing, and refused again. And yet, she bore no curse. No blade, no cry, only silence. And when the final battle came, as it always would, she was there, not with weapon or fury, but as a raven, alone on a branch, high above the clash. Watching. Not guiding, not interfering, only watching. And when the blade pierced Cú Chulainn, when his blood met the earth and his breath scattered like fog across stone, the Morrigan flew once. Not in triumph, not in sorrow, but in completion. She had warned him, she had tested him, she had offered him pause. He had chosen, and she had honored the thread of his fate to its very end. This tale, so often told as one of vengeance or spite, was never about punishment. It was about recognition, about seeing the signs offered, the quiet truths whispered in the breath between heartbeats. The Morrigan did not destroy him, he destroyed himself by refusing to listen, and still, she carried him. In the bones of the land. In the song of the crow, in the red bloom of poppies that sprung up where his blood touched the soil, she carries them all. You see. Even the proud, even the blind, even the ones who turn away, because that is what she does. She carries endings, not as weights, but as sacred transitions, as journeys returned. As echoes folded into the long hush of time. After the dust of the final battle had settled, and Cú Chulainn's name faded from the mouths of poets into the sigh of wind through grass, she remained, the Morrigan, silent again, still as a stone, present as breath. It is said that after his death, the hero's soul walked the boundary between worlds, neither fully gone, nor fully lingering, and in that space between spaces, she waited for him, not to mock, not to scold, but to receive. To offer the one thing he had never allowed himself while living, understanding. There are moments, rare and hollow soft, where even the proud lay down their armor, and in that stillness, the Morrigan became not raven nor warrior, but something gentler, a keeper of memory, a mourner, a mirror. She spoke no blame, only truths, of the warnings missed. Of the strength misused, of the quiet thread he had ignored, one woven not through blood, but wisdom. And then, with the same patience that had always been hers, she gathered his essence into her silence and released it, into the hills, the streams, the roots of the trees that knew how to wait. His story was not erased, it was planted. That is what she does. She does not take. She transforms, and in doing so, she became something more than a goddess of endings. She became a guardian of what lies beneath the surface, of every story not yet told, every lesson half learned, every breath still trembling between surrender and defiance. The land remembers her, even when names change, even when temples fall. In the low cry of the raven at dusk she lingers, in the mist that curls through the reeds at the river's edge. She listens. She is felt, not in the moment of death, but in the breath just before it, the breath where time pauses, where the soul asks itself, have I listened? Have I truly seen? And for those who do listen, she offers her gifts, not safety. Not comfort, but vision. Clarity. And a strength rooted in something older than muscle or fire. A strength made of truth, of reflection, of knowing when to stay still, and when to speak the name of change aloud. So many remember the Morrigan as a bringer of war, but her legacy is more intimate than battle. She is the one who reminds us that every choice ripples outward, that power is not in the blade, but in the willingness to look inward before it is drawn. She is the echo in the cave long after the torch has gone out. She is the sound of wings where no bird should fly. She is the question that lingers when all answers have crumbled. And she waits, not to punish, not to praise, but to witness, to bear the truth of your journey with the silence it deserves. There are places in the world where the air hums just slightly out of tune. Places where time slows and sound is swallowed softly into the landscape. In Ireland, these are often the low hills wrapped in mist, the standing stones whose stories no longer have words, and the quiet bends and rivers where no birds sing. These are the Morrigan's places, not shrines, not temples, but thresholds, among the many mysteries that surround her. And they are many. One has lingered longer than most, like a feather drifting endlessly on unseen currents, the mystery of her form, or rather, her many forms, unlike other deities, whose images are fixed and adored in statues and tales. The Morrigan slips between guises like a shadow moving across water. To some, she appears as a radiant woman, young and pale, with hair like raven's wings and eyes that unsettle without threatening. To others, she is ancient and bent, robed in layers of sorrow and sky, with a voice that echoes as though it comes from far beyond the veil of this world. But most often, she is a bird, a raven, or a crow, dark-feathered, circling high above or perched in silent judgment. Sometimes many crows, sometimes one. These birds, across cultures, have long been seen as omens, yet in Irish lore, they are not simply signs of death or misfortune. They are watchers, bearers of fate, messengers between realms, and so, the Morrigan's bird shape is not a disguise. It is her essence. She is the winged whisperer who sees from above what others cannot from below. She does not just fly through the air, she lives in the spaces between things, between choices, between life and death, between what was and what might yet be. Many stories speak of the Morrigan as a single goddess, fierce and unrelenting, but the deeper mystery is this: is she one, or many? Some traditions speak of her as a triple goddess, Morrigan, Bab, Matcha, and at times, Nemain and Fee as well, each with distinct traits, temperaments, and powers. They rive in stories together, or blend into one another, like fog across a field that shifts shape with the turning wind. In some tellings, they are sisters; in others, aspects of a greater whole; in still others, reflections of feminine forces so old and layered that they resist all names. This multiplicity is not confusion. It is power. It is fluidity. It is the deep truth that we are never just one thing. We are many selves, many seasons, many shadows, and so is she. But that is not the only mystery. There is also the matter of her true purpose, a question that haunts even the most devoted scholars and storytellers. Is she a goddess of war, a guardian of fate, a spirit of the land, embodying sovereignty itself? Or is she something older, older than names, older than stories, a primordial force that watches over the cycles of rise and fall, bloom and decay, silence and sound? She has no altar where flowers are laid. No long prayers sung in her name. And yet she is always near. When a ruler fails the land, the Morrigan is said to appear, not to punish, but to mark the moment. When a prophecy hangs heavy over a field, she is the whisper in the grass. When a soul prepares to cross the threshold from breath to beyond, she is the winged shape on the branch outside the window. Always watching, always waiting, always reminding us of what lies just beyond the edges of what we can see. This is the mystery of the Morrigan, not what she is, but how she moves, how she watches without eyes, speaks without voice, arrives not with fanfare, but with quiet certainty. To those who seek her, she may reveal something, not herself, not fully, but a feeling, a vision, a stillness, a knowing that you are standing in a place where the veil has thinned, where story and truth are one breath apart. The Morrigan has always existed, not just in myth, but in the margins of it, in those folds where the ink runs thin and meaning becomes mist. For every tale that claims to know her, there is another that contradicts it, not with loud defiance, but with quiet, lingering suggestion. She is, by her very nature, elusive, not because she hides, but because she refuses to be reduced. And so, over centuries, seekers, bards, monks, witches, scholars have tried to unravel the truths of who she is. Yet what they have found is not a single thread, but a tapestry of shimmering, shifting stories. Each one glints differently in the light. Each one claims to be the truth, and each one is only a part. Some say the Morrigan is the spirit of sovereignty, the voice of the land itself. To rule Ireland, it was said, a king must marry the sovereignty goddess, must earn her blessing. In this telling, she is not a bringer of war, but a guardian of balance, the embodiment of the land's will. When a ruler is just, she is radiant and gracious. When a ruler falters, she withholds herself, and the land suffers. In this version, she is not destruction, she is discernment. Others, especially in later Christianized retellings, saw her more darkly, as a witch, a shape-shifting seductress, a herald of death who took pleasure in chaos. Her triple form was cast as something unnatural. Her presence on the battlefield was reimagined as malevolent. Her silence turned to scheming. Her visions to curses. These versions flatten her, strip her of depth, make her a warning, not a wisdom. And yet, the older stories resist such simplifications. In some early tales, she comes not to end lives, but to test them. In others, she is the first to see what is coming, and the only one brave enough to say it. Is some druids claimed she was a seer, gifted, or perhaps burdened with visions of fate too large to bear alone, that she walked the edges of time itself, gathering stories not yet told and whispering them into the dreams of those who might understand. Others believed she was more than goddess, that she was the land personified, the water that gives, the soil that reclaims, the sky that remembers. And then there are those who believe she is older than all the gods, that the triple goddess is not a feature of Irish myth alone, but a universal form, maiden, mother, crone, youth, creation, decay, a symbol of the eternal feminine cycle, not confined to gender, but expressing the rhythm of all living things. The Morrigan, in this view, is less a character and more a force, one that names nothing, but moves through everything. Some see her as one goddess with many faces, others as many goddesses under one name. Still others claim the Morrigan is not a being at all, but a presence, a threshold spirit. The moment the tide turns, the pause between inhale and exhale, the hush in a dream just before you wake. Each interpretation holds a part of her. Each sees a reflection, not the whole, because to define her too precisely is to lose her. She is, and has always been, the goddess of between life and death. Between prophecy and memory. Between silence and story. And so, the stories about her grow like ivy, tangled, thriving, reaching, not rooted in one truth, but in many. And that, perhaps, is her greatest mystery, that she does not ask to be known, only witnessed, only remembered, only felt. In the moments when the wind changes suddenly, when a black feather falls from a cloudless sky, when you dream of rivers and ravens and voices that speak in languages older than your bones, then she is near, then the veil is thin, then perhaps she is watching. Some mysteries beg to be solved. They leave clues scattered like stones across a well-worn path, hoping we will gather them, arrange them, make meaning. But there are other mysteries, older, quieter, that do not want to be solved. They are not puzzles to be completed, but presences to be felt. The Morrigan is such a mystery. You can follow her through the old texts, through the whispered folk tales, through the sagas carried in the breath of the bards, and still she will slip through your fingers, not to mock you, but to remind you that some truths are not meant to be held. They are meant to be honored. To walk with the Morrigan is to walk without conclusion. She does not offer resolution, but rhythm, not finality, but flow. The more one seeks to pin her down into a single name, a single purpose, a single truth, the more she dissolves into the mist, into the raven's cry, into the still point between stories. And yet in that ambiguity, there is power. Because the Morrigan invites us not to know her, but to feel her, to look at the parts of ourselves we often turn away from, the endings, the transitions, the losses, the thresholds. She does not rush us through these spaces, she sanctifies them. She reminds us that decay is not destruction, that death is not disappearance, and that silence is not absence. She stands with us when we let go. She lingers with us when we don't, yet know what comes next. She is the stillness that surrounds the seed underground, waiting to bloom again. And so, what remains unsolved about her? The fluidity of her form, the contradictions in her stories, the shifting truth of her gaze, is not a flaw, but a teaching, a reminder that not all sacred things come with answers. Some come only with presence, with patience, with a whisper carried on a wind you can't quite trace. And perhaps that is why the Morrigan endures, not because she is understood, but because she is felt, because she appears in our lives not only when we face death, but when we face change. When we stand at the edge of something unknown, when the story we thought we were living no longer fits, and the new one has not yet begun. She is there, not to lead, not to command, but to witness, to ask, will you meet this moment with fear, or with truth? Will you resist the fall, or will you trust the turning? We may never fully know her, but in those moments when the veil grows thin, when the world quiets, when something inside us aches without a name, we can recognize her, and that is enough. The Morrigan, as most have heard of her, moves like a shadow through the oldest of Irish tales. Her name flickers at the edges of legend, present in the chants of warriors, the cries of crows over the battlefield, and the hush that falls before fate arrives. The most well-known story, told again and again through generations, is one of battle, of pride, of warnings unheeded. It begins with Cú Chulainn, the fierce hero of Ulster. Born from gods and destined for greatness, he was bold and radiant, his strength unmatched, his temper quick. He stood always at the front of war, blade in hand, hair wild with fury. Songs praised him, kings trusted him, the land trembled when he strode upon it. And then, the Morrigan came. As the story goes, she appeared first as a beautiful woman by the river's edge. She spoke gently, offering her aid, her blessing, her second sight. She asked him to delay, only by a day, to listen, to heed the land. But Cú Chulainn, proud and certain, refused. He mocked her, rejected her, rode onward toward blood. And so, she returned, not as a woman, but as an eel, trying to trip his horse in the river. He struck her. She returned again, as a wolf, lunging from the dark, teeth bared. He wounded her. A final time, she came as a heifer, fierce and wild. Again, he cast her down. Wounded, she later appeared as a humble old woman, asking for a blessing. He denied her once more. Then came the final battle. The enemies were many. His wounds deepened. And though he tied himself to a standing stone to die on his feet, the end still came, and there, perched upon his shoulder in the silence that followed, sat a raven. Watching. In this version of the tale, the Morrigan is the harbinger of doom, a dark goddess whose prophecies are ignored, whose aid is refused, and who ultimately claims the hero as his fate unfolds exactly as she had seen it. She is cast as the unforgiving one, the tester of men, the one whose presence marks certain death. And yet, even in this traditional tale, there is something softer, waiting beneath the surface. She does not strike the fatal blow. She does not laugh, nor curse. She only offers warnings. And then, when they are dismissed, she becomes a mirror to what was always coming. She does not demand to be obeyed, only witnessed. And so her role, even in the oldest retellings, is not of violence, but of truth. The Morrigan walks with fate, not to shape it, but to honor it. And for those willing to listen, her presence is not a death sentence, but a moment of clarity, a turning of the head, a breath held at the edge of what comes next. But what if the tale we've always been told missed something? What if the story of the Morrigan, dark goddess, bringer of war, whisperer of death, was only one version, the version remembered by those who never truly saw her? Let us drift now into a softer retelling, a path less traveled, a truth hidden in the folds of mist and time. In this version, the Morrigan is not a fearsome omen, but a guardian of the land's deep dreaming, not the cause of death, but the keeper of sacred balance. She appears to see Cú Chulainn not to tempt or test him, but to protect him, to guide him back to harmony with the very ground he walks upon. She knows what he does not yet see, that he stands at a threshold, that the land groans beneath the weight of prideful blades, that the spirits of the rivers and the trees are watching, waiting for the one who will listen. And so she comes to him once, twice, three times, each time in a different form, hoping that he might pause, might reflect, might remember that even a hero must kneel sometimes, not in weakness, but in reverence. But each time, he strikes, because this is not a tale of punishment. It is a tale of misrecognition, of sacred offerings mistaken for obstacles, of wisdom mistaken for threat. She does not retaliate with vengeance, as the old tales might suggest. Instead, she retreats into stillness, wounded, yes, but not angry. She gathers her pain like feathers. She carries the bruise in silence, and when Cú Chulainn dies, she does not arrive to claim him, but to honor him. She is not the raven of death. She is the mourner of what was lost, of what might have been. She sings not of his fall, but of the lessons left behind. This version of the story asks a different question. What if the Morrigan has never been the villain, but the truth teller no one wished to hear? What if she is the embodiment of the voice we silence, the one that urges us to rest, to reconsider, to return to right relationship with the living world? She is not the storm. She is the pause before it. She is not the blood. She is the breath that tried to stop it. And when the world refused to listen, she did not rage. She simply waited, because that is her way. She waits, not with resentment, not with pride, but with the timeless patience of the land itself, knowing that all things circle back eventually, that every story untold will one day return, softened by sleep and time, to find its place again. Perhaps that day is now. Perhaps, in hearing this version, you can feel her not as a warning, but as an invitation to see the world more deeply, to walk the line between what is and what could be, to honor the voice that speaks not in thunder, but in stillness. She is not your ending. She is your mirror. And you, too, stand at the threshold. Stories are living things. They do not sit quietly in books or sleep forever in scrolls. They breathe, they change shape, They carry the scent of each voice that speaks them, the fingerprints of every soul that remembers or forgets a part. The Morrigan story is no different. Once, she may have been worshipped under open skies, beside rivers where offerings were left on stones smoothed by time and rain. She may have been a voice of the land, a mother of prophecy, a presence that lived in every threshold, neither here nor there, but always near. But as the centuries passed, the world shifted. War changed, kingdoms fell. The old gods faded from temples into tales, from tales into superstition, from superstition into silence. And in that silence, her image hardened. She became simplified, edged, shadowed, misunderstood. The warrior poets remembered her as a force to fear. The monks rewrote her into warnings, and yet she persisted, not in fame, but in feeling. In the cold hush before a decision, in the unseen shape that waits when something inside us ends and something else, not yet named, begins. We tell stories not only to remember, but to make meaning. And sometimes, the meanings we make are shaped by our fears, by our longing for control, for clarity, for light without shadow. But stories, like the Morrigan herself, do not serve certainty. They serve transformation. They hold space for what is uncomfortable, complex, unresolved. And the Morrigan, in every version of her tale, dark or luminous, fierce or quiet, remains a symbol of that sacred in-between. She reminds us that we are always in motion, always unraveling and reweaving, always shedding the skin of what we thought we were, and stepping, uncertain, tender, brave, into what we are becoming. And so, her truth endures, not in the details of myth, which will always shift like fog on the moor, but in the feeling that rises when we hear her name. That pause, that breath, that knowing. Whether you see her as goddess, guide, ghost, or grain of ancestral memory, she is still walking the boundaries, still asking, are you listening? Are you ready to see what lies beneath the story you've been told? Because somewhere in the turning of the wind, somewhere in the hush before dawn, she is waiting. Not to claim you, not to judge you, but simply to walk with you for a moment through the threshold to where the truth is softer, older, and far more patient than we ever imagined. And now the mist begins to lift, not hurriedly, not all at once, but slowly, the way twilight fades into night, or the tide slips quietly back into the sea. The story has been told, but not closed, for the Morrigan's tale is not the kind that ends. It lingers, it settles, it waits. You have walked alongside her, through silence and shaping, through battle and vision, through riddle and reflection. You have seen her not as the dark echo in the corner of myth, but as its spine, not as the fearsome face of endings, but as the gentle rhythm of returning. And in her story, you may have felt pieces of your own, the thresholds you've crossed, the choices that shaped you, the silent knowings you've carried. Because to hear the Morrigan's tale is to be reminded that we are all, in our way, walking between worlds, between what has been and what may yet come, between who we were and who we are becoming. There is no need to rush away from this place. Let it stay with you a while. Let the crows continue circling in your mind, not ominous, but watchful. Let the rivers run through your dreams, soft and silver, whispering stories you may not yet understand. Let her presence, calm, still, certain, remain beside you, like a quiet guide walking one step behind, for the Morrigan does not demand to be remembered loudly. She asks only that we notice the moment before change, the silence between breaths, the turning of the wind that feels like a whisper just beyond hearing. You may return to your world now, if you choose, to the warmth of your bed, the gentle rhythm of your own breathing, the steady safety of sleep. But you return with something more. Not a burden, not a prophecy, just a knowing that there is a place beyond words, beyond stories, where something ancient waits with wings folded in patience, and when the time is right, it will rise, not to frighten, but to remind that you are part of the rhythm, part of the turning, and deeply, quietly, endlessly held in the dream of the world. Now, let your breath slow. Let the last of the story dissolve into the softness round you. Let the quiet take root. And drift. There is nothing more you need to do. You are exactly where you should be. And she is with you, not in shadow, but in stillness. Watching. Waiting. And always gently guiding you home.
Oh